The Dutch Grand Prix at Assen will be remembered for various reasons, although most of them have little to do with the sporting action on the track. Marc Marquez asserted that only he himself can throw away his chance at a 7th MotoGP title with a stunning double victory in the sprint and main races. In the other classes, Diogo Moreira delivered Brazil's first ever win in Moto2, and Jose Antonio Rueda moved even closer to locking up what looks to be a well-deserved Moto3 title. All of that is important, but none of it is extraordinary given the caliber of the three riders. However, in the Netherlands, there was arguably more activity in the paddock and motorhomes than on the track itself. The biggest stir, as has been the case for several months, was caused by the ongoing conflict between Jorge Martin and Aprilia over differing interpretations of a clause in the contract they signed a year ago. It is a dispute that continues to escalate and, with new players entering the fray, makes reconciliation between the reigning world champion and the know-how-based manufacturer seem increasingly unlikely. This crisis is playing out on two levels. One is more superficial and public, visible through the statements made by both sides on and off the track. The other level involves lawyers and is much more shielded from prying eyes and ears, often bound by non-disclosure agreements. At Assen, Martin, still recovering from injuries sustained in Qatar, made the first move through his manager, Albert Valera. Valera gave a series of interviews to various media outlets to clarify his interpretation of the release clause, which, in his view, allows Martin to negotiate and sign with another team for the upcoming season. He asserted that the activation of this clause means Jorge is free to sign with whomever he wants for 2026, and that Honda is clearly an option they are considering. This message was no coincidence, it was part of a strategy to shake things up and assert, especially to HSE, that Martin's desire to wear the Golden Wings colors has not wavered. It was a bold declaration of intent, aimed at eliciting a formal offer from Honda. However, the plan fell apart in less than 24 hours. The time it took for Dorna CEO, Carmelo Ezpeleta, to intervene and put the brakes on the path being forged by the reigning champion. Like Valera the day before, Ezpeleta also appeared before the cameras and issued a stern warning. He stated that Dorna, the Manufacturers Association MSMA, and the Teams Association IRTA, cannot permit the registration of any rider in MotoGP who is not free, either declared free by a judge or through a mutual agreement between both parties. Aprilia says they have a valid contract with Martin while Martin claims he is free. For Dorna to accept him, both parties must agree, or a judge must rule on the matter. Motorsport.com has reported that Dorna's recent acquisition by Liberty Media influenced Ezpeleta's decision to step in and restore order to this chaos. Aprilia took this opportunity to underline that the promoter's words legitimized their stance. Aprilia Racing CEO Massimo Rivola said that their intention was to remain neutral, but Carmelo's statements invited them to take a position. Rivola called Ezpeleta's statement crystal clear. No one can sign with another manufacturer if they still have a valid contract. The new element in Rivola's statement was the first acknowledgement of a possible new deal that could see Martin leave Aprilia in 2026. He stated their priority is to keep the rider. If that is not possible, they will sit down and reach an agreement or they will go to court. Amidst all this, Honda team manager Alberto Puig also weighed in to emphasize that HRC deals with riders, not manufacturers, and that Martin, through his agent, had informed them that he is free to commit for 2026. Puig asserted that they do not want to get involved in a situation where a rider has a contract with another manufacturer. But if the rider says he is free, then he must be free. Honda speaks with riders, not manufacturers. If they feel the need to speak with Martin, they will, and they will stick to what he tells them. At this point, everything now depends on timing, and Aprilia holds the cards. Given the rising tensions, it is hard to imagine Martin riding in Aprilia RSGP next year. That scenario would be more problematic for Aprilia than for the rider, who would be forced to race on a bike against his will, potentially damaging the manufacturer's image. However, this does not necessarily put the Italian company at a disadvantage. Martin wants to resolve this situation quickly, but the legal route is far from swift. The fact that the legal proceedings would take place in Italy raises concerns for Martin, both due to the possible influence of the Piaggio group and the long time frame. Winning a legal case to be free by mid-2026 would be of little use. The alternative is to reach a financial settlement in the form of compensation. Motorsport.com has reported that this is already being discussed, although the initial positions of both parties are still far apart. Meanwhile, Aprilia is already exploring the rider market to find a suitable replacement. Martin's urgent desire to sign with HRC stands in stark contrast to Aprilia's slow and calculated approach, as they are fully aware that they are the ones who control how and when this entire affair will be resolved.